Yet more fallout for Mark Robinson, the GOP gubernatorial candidate for North Carolina, who has apparently described himself online as a black Nazi, which is half of what many in the right love about him. But anyway, members of his campaign team, top members, are now they're dropping like hotcakes, which is not an expression. But 4 of them have resigned. So not a good weekend for the candidacy when you're just a few weeks out from the election. So this is the general consultant and senior advisor, the campaign manager, who I've heard is important in a campaign, the finance director, and the deputy campaign manager. So they can't even just slot that person into the top role anymore, have all stepped down. And here is what Robinson said about the resignations. I appreciate the efforts of these team members who have made the difficult choice to step away from the campaign. Was it that difficult? And I wish them well in their future endeavors. He said his campaign, quote, will continue to focus on the substantive issues at stake in this election, such as the economy, crime, and removing politics out of our classrooms. And please not things that I posted on porn message boards over the last 2 decades. But anyway, and we'll talk more about the things he said. If you missed them, I have a feeling you know what we're talking about.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
But in addition to losing his crew, he also might have trouble paying for a replacement crew because it doesn't look like he's pulling in a lot of money. At the very least, if he is, he's not spending a lot of money because the Democrat in the race, Josh Stein's campaign, has reserved more than $13 million in television ads through election day, while a super PAC affiliated with the Republican Governors Association has less than $400,000 booked for Robinson. The RGA has declined to respond to requests for comment about whether the group will continue to support Robinson. And it's generally not a good thing when like a scandal erupts and nobody wants to go on record about whether they still like you, except there are some people who aren't really talking but have fled, which usually isn't a sign of support. And there's not a lot of other signs of support, including in the polling, where Stein now has an 11-point lead. I mean, if you look back over this, it had been a tight race for months and months and months. And not always a tight race, the Democrat was winning. And I just want to say, before you jump in with your commentary, Francesca, about the black Nazi and the supporting slavery and the watching, in his words, tranny on girl porn and all of that stuff. If we could bring up that poll once again, it's great that Stein has broken out and is leading. And by the way, much of the lead predates this newest scandal, which is an important thing to note. But it never should have been this close. This guy Robinson has said the worst stuff. We've always known that. And we've noticed here, we've been covering this race for a long time. Nobody has paid attention to it. We put up so many videos about this guy trying to warn people like, hey, this guy's kind of a kook. Nobody watches those videos and nobody has, like for a year now. But anyway, what do you think?
Even with the things he said, even with him being like, yes, I would go back to a time when women couldn't vote and there was slaves. Like
nobody cared.
I mean, just, and here's the thing about obviously pornography. It just breaks through the headlines, Yeah. If it's titillating, you put it up and suddenly you see your numbers go up. No, like it is good, obviously, that clearly North Carolinians were paying attention because, again, as you see that break and as you mentioned, the polling starts to go real south for Robinson even before we knew that he was putting a bunch of unsolicited comments onto pornography websites. So that's good, but like 13 million in Stein's coffers to run ads before the election versus what, less than 400,000? Oh, he's toast. Robinson is toast. Now, here's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. If scandals happen to Democrats, generally they apply the same rules that they apply to all people and even their political opponents to themselves. They have what is called shame. And shame can actually be a good thing, especially when you're, I don't know, trying to be the governor of a state in the union. So like that is, or I mean, I guess he doesn't really believe in the union, more of a Confederate guy, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's important to have that kind of shame. And if Republicans had any shred of shame left versus this sort of race to the bottom mentality of who can be the most outspoken racist, even if he's black, that sort of just gives him a new bent on the whole thing, then he too would resign in shame and they would put someone else at the top of the ticket. And it doesn't matter because in North Carolina, you're gonna have a certain amount of Republican voters who, so long as you didn't write that you were a black Nazi who's into trans porn, would probably vote for you. So why not do that and best your chances as a party for winning this seat? But no, they can't do that because again, Trump has all trained them to say when you get caught in saying something absolutely ridiculous and insane and racist, or like, I don't know, sexually assaulting an author in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room, you just double down on that. If you get caught defaming her, just keep defaming her. And so this is the lesson of Trumpism that is just like, just keep digging, and you're not digging a grave. You're digging a trench. Like, what are we digging here?
I don't know. I'm not digging him as a candidate for office in North Carolina, a crucial swing state. But anyway, everyone also bear in mind, he's already the lieutenant governor.
Right.
Like, it's not like he hosted a Rumble show and then decided, you know what, it's the governor's office for me. He already got elected. Which, by the way, this is a reminder, as with so many other recent candidates, please dig more into these people because there's stuff out there. I have more thoughts, but I'll give them as we continue. To close off this section, just bear in mind, all that polling we showed you, you don't have to trust it because it's bad for the Republican, which means it's fake. He said that polls have consistently underestimated Republican support in the state, and he believes a large portion of the electorate is still undecided. Okay, maybe it did underestimate Republican support, but you're doing way worse than you were before when it was underestimating the support, so it still seems bad. But we'll see. Again, the election isn't over. Could theoretically still win. When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?